Hey guys, today I would like to show you how I created my Dark Eldar war engines for my epic 40k Dark Eldar army. I will show you which parts I used, where I got them from, and will generally explain some background about more general ways of creating scratch build miniatures. To start with, whenever I create a new army, I'm truly considered about how much money I'll in the end have to put into that project. So taking into account how ridiculously expensive many of the out of production models from Games Workshop are, if you look on eBay or other platforms around the web, I usually tend to try buying replica or trying to scratch models myself, mainly to make sure that I get a cheap army that looks coherent as well. So for example, if you take a look on these war engines here I created, they're all based on the Dark Eldar jet bikes from Games Workshop. So it is easy to buy them. So you basically get one pack of Revengers and you have plenty of stuff for 3 or 4 war engines. And whenever you want to create more units of a certain type, it is easy to replace them because they are still in production. They are, compared to what you have to pay on eBay, relatively cheap, and the entire army looks coherent, and therefore is easier for your opponent and for you to remember which units are actually what kind of model, you know. And obviously they fit quite well the style of the distinct army. So just for you guys, I bought a new pack of Dark Eldar jet bikes, and to start with, I would like to, mainly because it's already here, to show you how I created this. This is super easy. As you can see, it's basically just the front prow of a jet bike. Here on the back part, I just glued the fans as some sort of engine on the back part. The main gun is Dark Eldar pistol, and then just some blades on the sides and underneath to create this kind of super heavy transport. Here in the middle I glued the front part of the engine part of the jet bike, mainly to have some solid mass to drill in for the hole for the base. So if you look on the entire pack, you basically need to create it one prow, this front section here, and basically some of the larger blades like here, and some of the smaller blades such as these here on the very bottom. So that is kind of efficient. I bought initially 2 packs of Reaver jet bikes, which left me with 8 different prows and a lot of spare parts I used for several other models. The only part that is not that does not come from the plastic sprues is the former front prow from these jet bikes. They are from Onslaught, and you can see them on many models. I used them, for example, to create these jet fighters, and so if you look underneath, this is the prow section. Usually they were just glued underneath, or was kind of fiddly, so I used them instead for some war engines, etc., where I had more touch points to attach the glue and the green stuff to. So moving on to the next war engine, which is also super easy to produce. This here is the Vessel of Pain. Actually, I use it as Vessel of Pain. It is almost an entire jet bike. So what I did is turning the middle engine part kind of around, removing the back part, and glued like one of the blasters to the front. So taking another look on our sprue, you essentially need this front part here, obviously the main hull, then you just turn it around and then you basically glue these rear wings or blades on this part, but with the other side on top. So that's essentially it. Then you can attach the weapon option to the front, which is, I think, on the extra sprue here. We have one extra sprue, and there you got the blaster, laser blaster, whatever it is, and just cut it off and glue it, attach it to the front part of the war engine. So these two kinds of the Bark of Pleasure and the Vessel of Pain are super easy to convert. The same is essentially true for the flyers I created. To do so, you essentially need this back part here. This is almost the entire flyer. Then, you can see it here, what you do afterwards is gluing the... wait a second, where is it? Ah, here. Okay. So then you glue this bit with some, either you glued, or better maybe to use some green stuff and just attach it on the back part here to fill in some gaps anyway. And what you need afterwards is this weapon mount here, and you just cut off the blade on top, which you can use for the Bark of Pleasure anyway. You cut off the weapon barrel and then just glue the main part in front of the wing section here. And so you can see here ends the wing section, and then here this front part is essentially just the back part of the weapon, and then use some green stuff to attach the Onslaught jet bike prows in front to create that distinct razor wing jet fighter look we all know from Warhammer 40k. Now we're coming to a slightly more tricky model, and I think I have to explain quite a lot. These are my Dark Eldar Tormentor Titans. They're exclusive to the Net Epic army list. They do not exist rule-wise in the Epic UK list. I think they're quite fun in games, quite fun to play, and also fairly balanced because you can hardly use more than one. They are 500 points, so theoretically you could throw in two in a game of 3000 points, standard tournament game. However, Dark Eldar are really lacking any kind of anti-air, so if you use two of these guys in a standard game, you have virtually no air protection, which really screws your day if your opponent has one or even two or more aircraft units. They just bomb you to ashes, and you can't do anything about it. So that being said, let's see how I created them. We have basically, or mainly because I had some spare parts left after I created all the other units, I decided to try and just try to create something out of that remaining parts. And the core of it all is essentially is essentially, again, here the main part of the jet bike. So this cut at this specific point, we had to cut it anyway because this part was needed for the Barks of Pleasure, if you remember. So this part is essentially the main body of the Titan. So you can see it here, or even if I turn it around, you can see it more clearly. So here's actually where usually the 40K pilot sits. It's kind of tricky to handle this side of the camera. So here's usually where the pilot sits in 40K, and here's the display where I just cut off the spare parts. The side parts here, like the little side thrusters, are basically the backpacks of the jet bike drivers. So if you take a look here, this part is this part here. Then we had obviously a lot of blades spare after I create all the other war engines. The back blades, or back wings, or however you call them, are essentially here the legs. These parts here, basically the Onslaught jetbike prows attached to the front parts of the back wings or back blades. You can find in every jetbike sprue. This one here, just cut off in this area. So they are the main part of the legs, and the remaining part is essentially just a Tyrannid arm. Well, from that point on, it was a bit tricky to create the arms. So the arms were basically attached to the engine, whatever, you know, where the air streams in to cool down the engine, or maybe it's like an energy device. I have no idea what Games Workshop initially intended with the model design. It's essentially this part here and this part, which was cut off before I constructed the main hull. So again, here, cut off this part and attached one side of the engine, whatever, fan, I don't know, and attached one half to every side, to each side of the main body. And underneath I just glued the splinter cannon turrets from the jet bikes and attached some blades on the front part. The only remaining part we have now is that kind of rocket launcher or grenade launcher thingy here on the back part. When the models were done so far, they looked a bit odd. They, you know, looked somewhat overweighted on the front side. So, you know, speaking in terms of realism, it would just fall over mainly. So to avoid that kind of look, I just wanted to attach something to the back side. So I went for that part that is kind of, there's just a single one in every box. So if you buy 2 boxes, you have enough parts for 2 Tormentor Titans. This is essentially how I created this kind of Tormentor Titan and his fellow brother. Well, I have now another set of Reaver jet bikes, so I might be tempted to create some more war engines, maybe some converted barges of pleasure for my homunculus coven, and maybe some bombers, whatever. So I might post some pics of that as soon as I get them done. Almost forgot. There's another little flyer I created. which currently is either a bomber or a slave-bringer sword boat. Can't really decide which one is more useful at the moment. Now that I have more parts, I will most likely create both slave-bringers and more bombers. So for this fly, it's also super easy. Basically just a shorter jet bike, just cut off the middle section. Then I glued one of these splinter cannon turrets on top. On the back part there's the standard jet bike engine, and here's one's a wing section. So this conversion is really easy to do here from underneath. Yeah, it's a very standard, very easy conversion. Looking back, I would strongly recommend to drill the holes in the middle part first. When I did that, some of the models fell apart again, so that is kind of a lesson I've learned. So basically think of where the hole needs to get drilled and do it first. Another good tip I could give you now is getting some of this modeling flubbery thingy. It's basically like masking tape, but the big benefit actually is that it's a bit like, it's a bit sticky, and so if you are not sure how something should look like, you can use it easily to attach different things together. So let's say I want to create a new flyer or so, and I just put some of that stuff underneath and I know, attach it on top here. Looks ridiculous, really ridiculous now, but anyway, I mean, you know what I mean. So you can try out new designs without actually gluing them together, and especially if you are really terrible in drawing, then it's probably a good way of making a proper plan and to really get the most out of a sprue or out of a box. I usually tend to, or try to use almost all the parts in one box in order to create funny stuff, good looking stuff, and try to maximize the output I can get out of it. And so in the end, if you basically follow my instruction rules, you purchase 2 boxes of Reaver jet bikes for, how expensive are they now? Should be around 70 euros or so, not sure. So essentially you spend 70 euros and you get a huge load of different war engines together. 2 of these vessels of pain. You can create in total 4 barks of pleasure. You can get 2 tormentor titans out of it, 2 slave bringer or bombers, and you have enough parts for 4 of the jet fighters, or generally fighters. I mean, depends, you could glue some additional parts on them and essentially create a bomber and a fighter. That's basically up to you, but you have enough parts for 4 of them if you buy 2 boxes. And then obviously you have a lot of blades and stuff spare to essentially attach different parts on your infantry bases. For example, if you want to mark where your command units are, you can basically just use one of the spare blades and just glue it on the base, which looks definitely stylish and absolutely fits the overall look and is super easy to detect. So that's kind of nice. Also, if you buy a big army deal from Onslaught, and I strongly recommend that, because there are just a lot of really amazing army deals out there. You could cut off the leg section of one of the warriors, and then glue the torso part in these holes, for example, so to make the overall scale more visible. If you have a little infantry guy sitting here and firing a Dark Lance, this really becomes visible as a war engine and not just, you know, some off-scale thingies. So also for the bases, I am still trying to find something I can attach to the bases. I'm still not done with that. Last week I finally got the grass tufts I've ordered, and I'm not really pleased with the overall quality. Just to show you what I've ordered, were essentially like blue grass tufts from Miniature. And what I'm not so pleased with is that there is a lot of dirt and a lot of dust on these tufts. So if you take a look, these are really dirty. There are a lot of hairs inside, for example, and I have no idea why that happens. But I mean, just sending them back would be too expensive by now, and I'm just a bit annoyed of it. There should be some sort of quality control, really, and if you produce something that expensive, you shouldn't, you know, just have dust and hair and dirt on the final product, which is super annoying. Yeah, anyway, so I'm still trying to figure out what would actually fit to make the to bring the bases more alive. I'll most certainly add some more of these crystals and repaint them to match up with the overall color scheme. But yeah, definitely there's still something missing on these bases, and as long as I don't know what it is or what it could be, I'm not continuing painting the bases, which is a bit annoying. Anyway, okay guys, I really hope I could give you some insights into how I created these models. When I have some time the next weeks, I'm on vacation now, so there might be some more time now for hobby stuff. So if I have more time, I'd like to take some photos of the models and also of the sprues, and put all of that into a PDF basically, and create like an in detail instructions guide to create all these war engines. Also, what is the entire process also works for other armies. So if you go for Eldar, for example, you can most likely create a lot of super heavy tanks out of the new Harlequin and Guardian jet bikes, etc. So also for Battlefield Gothic, they're just amazing for Battlefield Gothic. Actually, way better than for Epic, I'd say, because the overall look in Battlefield Gothic is quite comparable to the jet bikes now produced by Games Workshop. Yeah, also for orcs it's super easy. It's just kit bash in total. If you've seen one of my very first videos, there were some photos of huge war engines, like whatever they're called for. And these war engines were also entirely scratch built, and a lot of 40k bits were attached to it. So whenever I try to build weapons or so, I just check my 40k bits box I still got from the early days when I still played Warhammer 40k, and try to figure out how would something look like if it is if it is used for a different scale, you know. Okay, that's so far from my side. The next video is going to be a short introduction to scratch building for my Chaos Quarter army, which was basically I collected and built it up 2 years ago, and never continued painting. So as soon as I got some time, I'll move on to that project. But first, I will try to give you an introduction on how I create these war engines, on which I use almost no bits. They're entirely scratch built. So I hope you had some fun and got some new insights in my model building. Yeah, see you next time. If you like it, subscribe, and would be very pleased for a comment on my blog. The link is in the text below. Have fun, guys. Happy wargaming. Bye bye.